Welcome to Mr. Biz Radio, biz talk for biz owners. If you're ready to stop faking the funk and take your business onward and upward, this show is for you. And now, here's Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth.
All right, welcome to another episode of Mr. Biz Radio with me, Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth. And I got a question out there. Raise your hand if you want to be happier. Okay, I know I can't see you, but I can see you. Everyone's raising their hand. Who doesn't want to be happier, right? Raise your hand if you want to be able to tell when there's someone important in your life, whether it be a family member, a friend, a colleague, a coworker, someone maybe that works for you, that's not happy, that's having a bad day, that's having a bad month, that's having a bad year. Who would like to know that to be able to help them? Raise your hand. Okay, everyone's raising their hand again. Great. You're going to love today's show then, because we're going to talk about happiness and how to be happier. And not only just for ourselves, we're going to talk about that as well, but how to determine when people maybe aren't happy or they're unhappy and they're, having a tough time and a tough go of it. And we've got our guest today. I'm so looking forward to this. I'm not just kidding. I was talking right before we came on air here about this. This all worked out like perfectly that we could have him on when we could. He actually has a book. So you'll know that this guy knows what the heck he's talking about. His book is called The Happiness Formula. He was kind enough to send me a copy of this before the interview so I could prep for it. And I don't want to brag, but I'm going to brag. I don't know if you can see it, but I have an autographed copy. So, you guys can all just be a little jealous of that. But nonetheless, our guest this week is Dr. Alphonsus Obayuwana. Make sure I got that right. He is a physician scientist, a happiness coach, and the founder and CEO of the Triple H Project, an entity that trains and certifies happiness coaches. He is a literary Titan Gold Award-winning author who has published several peer-reviewed articles in national medical journals about human hope and happiness, including the Hope Index scale that became widely used at the Coca-Cola Company, General Motors, and the Veterans Administration, as well as many academic institutions inside and outside the United States. After 30 years of relentless research on human hope and happiness, he successfully derived the Triple H equation that is at the core of his latest book, again, The Happiness Formula, which you can check out on Amazon and as well on his website. I don't know if you can get it. You might have to sweet talk him to get an autographed copy like I have, but nonetheless, you could give it a shot. Dr. Obayuwana, welcome to Mr. Biz Radio. Been looking forward to this.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Biz.
Yeah, looking forward to this. I mean, this subject again, it impacts everyone, right? We've got a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs that watch the show, but we also have other people that are not part of those, either one of those. And I think not only, even just in the entrepreneur space and the business owner space, it's something that, again, like I mentioned at the outset, not only our own happiness, which we'll talk about how to sustain our well-being and things like that later in the show, but knowing when someone around you important to you is maybe struggling with some of those things, and how you can know when to step in and how to step in and things like that. Before we get into all that, though, if you would walk us through, Doctor, a little bit of your background, your journey, your entrepreneurial journey, your career, because obviously you've done a lot of really amazing things.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Like you said, my name is Alphonsus Obayuwana. I'm a physician and a scientist, and I train and certify happiness coaches. I became interested in this area of work by starting to work on hope, human hope. This began when I was a medical student, a third-year medical student, and I helped to take care of two patients who were admitted for attempting suicide. Yeah. And that is when I became convinced that if we can find a way to measure human hope, and since hope is what is missing when people try to take their life, if we can measure hope and see how hopeful someone is, we'll be able to detect those who are very low in hope and reach out to them and help them before they start thinking of suicide. This is how I started. And I was lucky to get a grant a national grant, even as a medical student, to study human hope. And that is when I created the Hope Index scale that became very popular with a few Fortune 500 companies and the US government also. So that's what I have been doing. Then the issue of happiness came on when the movement of positive psychology started around the year 2000, thereabout. So my question was, why are psychologists talking so much about happiness instead of hope? Since hope is what makes life worth living, why emphasis on happiness rather than hope? So I decided to study the similarity and differences between hope and happiness. Can you have one without the other? And that's when I found the formula: hope over hunger equals happiness. A very simple formula that tells us a whole lot about happiness. If your hope is high and your hunger is low, you are happy. You will be happy. If you have a higher hope than you are hungry. Mm-hmm. And if your hunger is very intensive and your hope is low, you will be unhappy. So this is the formula. And hunger now is not just hunger for food, it's any compelling desire is a hunger. You can be hungry for knowledge, you can be hungry for relationship, so hunger is not just for food. Also for food and comfort. That is how I came about this book that I'm writing about, to show people how to gain and sustain a flourishing life. And
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was going to be my next question is, what's your definition of hunger? Is it, obviously the food aspect of it, but I'm sure there's more. And so I'm glad you kind of put that a little bit in context for us, as far as it's not just hunger's part of it, right? Hunger for food is part of it, but and I'm glad you mentioned the relationship piece, because if you're someone who really needs a partner, a mate, and you're not having that, but maybe your career is going really well, but you have that hunger, you're probably not going to be happy, even though other things in your life may be going well. That particular aspect, which may be something that's very compelling for you, if you still have that hunger, and it's a great hunger and it's growing potentially, that's going to swing that formula the other way.
Exactly.
Yeah. So again, we're talking this week with Dr. Alphonsus Obayuwana. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get it. Obayuwana. Okay. And you can find out more we'll put this in the show notes as well, but his website is triplehproject.com. We're going to definitely find out about that coming up in the next segment. You can also follow Triple H Project on Facebook. They put out a lot of great content there as well. So come back after the break. We're going to talk about the book, The Happiness Formula, and a little bit more about that. He walked us through the happiness formula a little bit, but come after the break on Mr. Biz Radio.
If you would like to reach hundreds of thousands of business owners every week, Mr. Biz Radio can help. Our show airs globally 7 days a week for more than 25 hours across several internet radio stations, plus 20 plus podcast platforms. Also, video exposure on the new exclusive Mr. Biz Network streaming channel, which gets blasted to 100 plus streaming platforms, and the Mr. Biz YouTube channel, and our 350,000 social media followers multiple times every week. Join Mr. Biz Nation as an advertiser by emailing us at info@MrBizSolutions.com.
Attention, Mr. Biz Nation. We have an exclusive offer just for you. Get lifetime access to scarcity countdown timers and logic links for only $69. Yes, you heard it right. Only $69. These tools will add urgency to your email campaigns and website pages, helping you increase conversions, sales, and capture more leads. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Visit GetPulseTools.com now and take your business to new heights.
Got a question for Mr. Biz you want answered on air? Email it to info@MrBizSolutions.com. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
All right, welcome back to the show. Again, talking this week with Dr. Alphonsus Obayuwana, and he's the author, again, of The Happiness Formula. Great book. He was kind enough, as I mentioned before, to send me a copy of this. I haven't read the whole thing, but I did go through it because I wanted to be properly prepared for this, to talk with him today. Talk to us a little bit about the book. And so I know you've written a ton of different things. You're an award-winning author. What led to this particular book, The Happiness Formula?
Right. I wrote the book for 4 reasons.
Okay.
Number one is to share with others my chance discovery of a very simple formula that explains a whole lot about human desire and the way to live a flourishing life. This book is, for the first time, help us to measure happiness, both subjectively and objectively, simultaneously.
Yeah.
There's no other place you're going to find a formula that makes this possible. Number 2 is to introduce the Edo questionnaire, which is a 12-item self-assessment tool for finding out those who are happy, unhappy, very unhappy, languishing, or flourishing. And this is the first time we have a tool for identifying human individuals in these categories.
So before you go any further, let me ask you a little bit about that. So for those unfamiliar, I've got a little sneak preview, obviously, but for those unfamiliar, the EDO, so EDO is how it's spelled. That questionnaire, you mentioned it's 12-item self-assessment. First of all, about how long does it take? It's 5 minutes or so?
5 minutes or less.
Yeah, that was my experience. I just wanted to make sure. Who should use that? Who would you recommend should use that?
Okay. Now, we all want to be happy.
Of course.
Yeah, you established that even by the poll you took in the beginning.
Everyone raised their hand. You saw them. Everyone raised their hand, right, doctor?
Exactly. Now, when we are seeking physical fitness, we monitor our weight. You cannot be seeking and fighting and pursuing physical fitness without monitoring your weight. If we are trying to build wealth, we monitor our finances. We want to be happy, but until now, until this book, there is no tool for actually measuring happiness. And we must know how happy we are while we are in pursuit of happiness. So when we get happier, we know happier than what? So human resources directors, counselors, physicians, and psychologists, researchers, they need this tool for monitoring the happiness of their clients, their subjects, their employees, and their patients in case of physicians.
And I think too, if I can add to that, and I think you're talking a big broader scale, I would even, to some extent, people in your family,
definitely.
I would love to have, I've got 3 daughters, I would love to have my wife and my 3 daughters take the EDU questionnaire, right? Go through that. Again, very short, so I can get an assessment as well as in how I can maybe be able to help people. If you manage a team, maybe you want to have them go through it as well. So is this something, and it's kind of a loaded question, but this is something just like you're talking about. If you're trying to build wealth, you don't look at your bank statement one time, right? You monitor it over time.
Exactly.
If you're trying to lose weight, let's say, you don't step on a scale one time and go, okay, I got my weight. You monitor it over time to make sure you're making progress. And I assume the EDU assessment or questionnaire, I'm sorry, is the same thing, right? This is something that you should on a regular basis go through. And again, it's only a 5-minute thing. It's not a big time commitment. Is that the case, doctor?
Definitely. For monitoring is
Yeah.
when you see a psychologist or you do some exercises that are supposed to increase your happiness, how do you know how much progress you have made? So this is for monitoring, definitely. And that's what is to be useful.
Yeah, I think that's super important. And especially, again, it's very, what was, I mean, there's so many different things that are interesting. I mean, but I love the way you framed it as well, is that, again, if you're trying to build wealth, you know where to look, right? You can look at your investments or whatever it might be. If you're trying to lose weight, you know to look at the scale and monitor that. If you're trying to be happier, it's like, well, when I wake up in the morning, I felt great today, but tomorrow I wake up in the morning, I feel crappy. And then the next day I feel crappy. And then I felt great the next day. Why is that? Right? So this gives you a tool to be able to monitor that, to be able to see what are the things that are changing? What are things that move the needle on the happiness scale for you?
Exactly. You cannot effectively improve on anything that you cannot have a way to measure and monitor. It's not possible.
I agree 100%. So even on the numbers, I'm a numbers nerd, doctor. So, you know, you got to monitor, you got to go against your budget, right? You got to see how you're doing against your budget. This is the different type of tool, right? So the happiness, this EDU questionnaire it's a way to monitor against your happiness, for lack of a better term, budget, to see how you're doing.
Yes. As you can see from the formula, it's your hope score over your hunger score. If you are hungrier than you are hopeful, you're going to be on the unhappy side of the equation. If you are more hopeful than you are hungry, you are going to be happier. A happy life, actually, is a life that is full of hope. That's what a happy life is. If you have no hope, or your hope is low, there's no way you can be happy. And when we talk about the light at the end of the tunnel, that's all about hope. You are not there yet, but your misery and your tiredness become lessened just by seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. So hope is very important, but psychologists, until recently, had not been paying attention to it. They've been dealing mostly with depression and anxiety, but hope, the feeling that what you desire is possible, is very important.
Absolutely, absolutely. Guys, we're going to hit a break here. I did want to let you know, so the next segment, we have one more segment left with Dr. Obayuwana, and I want to make sure, there's 2 things I want to make sure we cover. So we're going to talk really a lot of things about how to not only assess, but also maintain your own well-being, a self-assessment type of thing like the EDU questionnaire. We're going to talk about the 3 myths that he covers about happiness in the book. And his thing he calls PDR. We're going to talk about that as well. So come back after the break on Mr. Biz Radio.
How would you like to have direct access to Mr. Biz to help you run your business more profitably and more efficiently? At MrBizSolutions.com, you get live access to not only Mr. Biz, but also several of his hand-picked and trusted business experts, each with 20-plus years of experience to help you optimally manage and grow your business. That's just the start of where Mr. Biz Solutions begins. Learn more at MrBizSolutions.com. That's MrBizSolutions.com.
Attention, Mr. Biz Nation. We have an exclusive offer just for you. Get lifetime access to scarcity countdown timers and logic links for only $69. Yes, you heard it right. Only $69. These tools will add urgency to your email campaigns and website pages, helping you increase conversions, sales, and capture more leads. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Visit GetPulseTools.com now and take your business to new heights.
Check out all three of Mr. Biz's best-selling books at MrBizBooks.com. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
All right, welcome back to the show. We have a lot to cover. And I know during the break we were talking about this, and actually producer Alan was kind enough to point this out. Dr. Obayuwana, sorry, I keep slowing down. I want to make sure I get it right. He mentioned there was 4 reasons he wrote the book, and we only got through 2 of them because I was blabbing too much. I got so enthralled with number 2, we didn't get through the other ones. Look, here's the thing. You want to hear the other 2, go buy the book. And I'm not trying to be rude about it, but I want to make sure we get through a couple other things that are actually in the book. Again, the happiness formula. So one of the things that I really found super interesting was you have a whole chapter about the 3 biggest myths about happiness. And it blew my mind because that chapter kind of stuck out to me. And especially when I got to that chapter and I saw the 3 biggest things, I'm like, okay, wait a minute, I got to hear what he's got to say about this, because what do you mean? So if you would, walk us through what you consider the 3 biggest myths about happiness.
All right. The 3 biggest myths about happiness is that I wrote in the book. Number 1, some people try to minimize resources, money and material possessions. That's important in happiness. Some people will say, oh, money cannot buy happiness. Yes, money can buy happiness. When you give me money, I'm happy. It's no question about it. When I give money to charity, right, I'm also happy.
Yes.
Both as a recipient and as a giver, you are happy when money exchange hands. So money can buy happiness. What money cannot buy is a happy life. You cannot have money and then you are sure of a happy life. Now, there's much more to a happy life than money, but money can buy happiness. Number 2,
and I love that you said that. And real quick, and I don't want to derail us too much because I want to make sure we get through some of these things. And I feel like I talked too much in the last segment, but and for those out there right now that are going, oh no, money, it's not all about money. It's not all about money, and that's not what he's saying whatsoever. Because maybe money is, you don't need material possessions. You don't want those. Those don't make you happy. But giving money to people, helping people with money gives you happiness, right? So there's a lot of different forms of how money can help. Buying a big giant yacht, maybe you could care less about that. You want to live in a 1-room, little shack in the middle of the woods. You don't need some big, that's fine. But does it make you feel good to be able to help someone? Maybe someone in your family is in a financial situation where they need some money. Would it not make you feel fantastic to help them with that? And you need money to be able to do that in many cases. And so I think that's an important distinction. It's not necessarily about material things, but money can make your life happy, but not necessarily the other way around.
Very good. That is very true. The next one is that happiness is too elusive to be measured. And of course, this book proves that wrong, because we have a scale there, the Edo questionnaire, also called the Personal Instant Self-Assessment Scale, that can give you a numerical number as a score of your happiness. And this is the first formula for doing that. And what is plugged into the questionnaire are your hopes, your aspirations, your hungers, and your assets are plugged into the equation to get your personal happiness index. And it ranges from 0.125 to 8.0. And so you will know where you are. If your score is more than 1.0, you are a happy person. If it's less than 1.0, you are an unhappy person, as classified in this book. This is because we are talking about ratio of your hope to your hunger.
Yep.
When the ratio is in favor of hunger, that means your score is more than 1.0, you are a happy person. Now, 1.5 is happy, but not as happy as 2.0 or as happy as 2.32.
Right.
So it goes on, and very happy starts from 2. And if you have a score of 4 and above, you are flourishing. All right. But you have less than 1.0, you are unhappy. And less than 0.5, you are very unhappy. And less than that to less than 0.250 is you are languishing. So this is a scale that you can use to test yourself every 3 months or 6 months to see where you are.
Yeah, and this all starts, these 3 myths, the happiness myths, they start on page 23 of the book. Like, this is just the beginning.
Yes.
Right? The book is over 200 pages long. This is only page 23, guys. We're just scratching the surface on this stuff. And so let's talk about the third one, the third myth about happiness.
The third myth about happiness is that happiness means different things to different people. No, it doesn't. Happiness means the same thing to everybody, regardless of culture. There is a word for happiness in every language, in every culture. Now, different things may make different people happy.
Sure.
But happiness is on an unmistakable feeling of delight, of joy, of satisfaction, fulfillment, or contentment. It can be very transient and whoops, it's gone. Or it can be more sustaining, like contentment, like fulfillment. So those are the 3 myths. And until you can measure something, it doesn't come to life. When we talk about your body temperature, somebody has a low fever, high fever. That was not in the language until Mr. Fahrenheit found and found a thermometer for measuring. So now we have a tool for measuring happiness, and happiness is going to be less elusive because we can put a number on it.
All right, Dr. Obayuwana. So we got only a little bit less than a minute left. What is one thing? Give us one thing before we leave. What is one thing that we can do once we're at that 3.0, 4.0 on the scale? What's one thing we can do to sustain that well-being?
Well, there are 5 things really, but just
give
to
us the top
one,
one. Just give us the top one. Yeah.
Just to measure one is count your blessings.
Yes. Be grateful.
No matter how bad the situation is, it can be very much worse. Count your blessings. But the 5 personal daily routine that you need to cover is all in the book.
It's all in the book. The happiness formula, you can catch it. You can get on his website, triplehproject.com. And follow them on Triple H Project on Facebook as well. You can get it on Amazon. Dr. Obayuwana, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Fantastic stuff.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic rest of your week. And don't forget, as always, cash flow is king.
To become part of Mr. Biz Nation, follow him on all social media platforms or never miss a show by going to MrBizRadio.com. If you prefer free video content, visit the Mr. Biz YouTube channel or check out his streaming channel, which is available on 100+ streaming platforms at MrBizNetwork.com.